very own birthday to me. That is correct. I am staging a birthday 2.0. Lockdown birthday, the redemption. Now with significantly less crying. Hashtag may contain traces of anxiety. It's Leanne, and despite the fact that I had 6 videos in the queue before this one, welcome to my birthday book haul. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm sad, I just want a little bit of second-hand book cheer. And if I have timed this nicely, you guys are going to be watching this birthday book haul on the day that I am actually relaxing for my birthday. You know, a day where I take a whole day off from work, have the book bath that I so dearly deserve, actually have candles and eat cake. Just all in all do all of the nice self-care things that I had intended to do the first time around. You know, before all of the bad news sent me into a depression cycle that I could only cure by working. Not that control is my drug of choice or anything. As a side note, it's quite amusing to me that despite the fact I have been on a book buying ban since January and have not broken that ban once, I have still somehow managed to have a January and a February and a March book haul. I'm not gonna lie, opening these packages and getting these books from you guys was a huge mental health lifesaver. I was not having a good day, and though much snot was shed over these books, it was the good kind. It was the smiley snot. You see, after 7 years, I am still quite shooketh that anybody would take the time to reach out and send me a birthday message and remember my birthday, let alone actually, you know, spend human money to send me things. Let's not cry again, because this eyeliner is not waterproof. Why, face? Why? Why do we only cry when we have makeup on? Why can we not cry when we are naked? And on that cheery note, come with me to vicarious book getting land. So first up, from lovely wife Helen, who knows me very, very well, we have got Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. If you have been watching my channel at all this year, you will know that I have jumped into a massive Alice Oseman rabbit hole. My fluffy tail is in the air and I am not coming back. Alice Oseman writes contemporary YA with a nice amount of romance in it, but also a huge amount of mental health representation and diversity. This particular one is about Frances, who is a self-titled study machine. All she wants is to get good grades and to resolutely ignore the person that she is inside, not the one that she sees in the mirror. And as far as she's concerned, nobody is going to stop her in this pursuit. And then Frances meets Aled, who suggests that maybe there is a better way to be yourself, which leaves Frances with a lot of uncomfortable choices. Sorry, it's essentially golden hour here now, and the sun just wants to kiss my skin, wants to give me compensation for raining on my birthday. Next up, from my mum and dad, we have got A Clash of Kings, which is the second in the illustrated editions of the A Song of Ice and Fire book. I got rid last year of my mass market paperbacks because they were awful. I hated that I had literally no choice but to break the spine in order to read them, and while I do not mind a creased or broken spine, there is a creased and broken spine, and then there is a freaking accordion. So it's very timely that these editions are coming out now, and I'm going to collect all of them. No idea where I'm going to put them on my shelves, but that is a problem for another day. And there are many problems on this desk right now. These editions include some absolutely stunning full colour plates all the way through, and some of them give me complete life. But they also all have these black and white renderings at the start and the end of each chapter, and it just sometimes I feel like when you get an illustrated book, there's just not quite enough illustrations to justify the like extreme price, and these ones are not that. Love that for me. Now we are moving on to the books that I was sent from you guys, mostly from my wish list, but there were a few really nice surprises in there. First up, I received 2 books from the wonderful Jess, and I literally screamed when I opened the packages. I am currently reading The Strange Case of the Alchemist Daughter by Theodora Goss. It is the first in the Athena Club trilogy. I am utterly obsessed with it. It is literally my favourite book since I think Lockwood & Co, which, if you know me, is saying a lot because Lockwood & Co is one of my favourite book series in the entire world. And Jess picked me up The Sinister Mystery of the Mesmerising Girl and European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman, which is book 2 and book 3 in the trilogy. Not gonna lie, I did also have a moment when I discovered that book 2 is like another third the size, and then book 3 is like the first 2 put together, but I'm probably still going to read them all back to back with like no shame, because this series is the best ever. Next up was a surprise from the wonderful Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts. Jean has been getting massively into thrillers recently. I have been sharing all of my recommendations, and so she decided to share one back. This is A Madness of Sunshine by Nalia Singh. It takes place in New Zealand, and apparently it is Jean's new favourite thriller of all time. So obviously I wanted that, whether Jean knew it or not. I don't actually know anything about this one, so let's find out together. Golden Cove was a peaceful town. Oh, you know how much I love small town thrillers. Please just destroy all of the small towns with all of the weird mysteries. Then one fateful summer, a tragedy shattered the trust holding the community together. All that's left are whispers behind closed doors, broken friendships, and a silent agreement to never look back. But you can't run from the past forever. 8 years later, a young woman disappears without a trace, and the residents of Golden Cove wonder if their home shelters something far more dangerous than an unforgiving landscape. The town's dark past and haunted present are about to collide in a murder mystery that's been years in the making. Oh damn, that sounds exactly like it belongs in my house. Next up, I have a book from Tracy that I am very excited to try. This is Mr. Loverman by Bernardine Everisto. You guys will probably remember that at the start of this year I DNF'd Girl, Woman, Other because I didn't really jive with the experimental style. I did like Bernardine Everisto's prose, and this one is written in a traditional format. This one is about Barry. He is 70 years old and he is a cheeky Hackney London boy. As a black man, he emigrated to London when he was very young, and he has spent his entire life there building up a reputation. He's known for being cheerful and funny and wearing some very eccentric retro suits. So the thing that people don't know about Barry is that for the past 60 years he has been in a relationship with his best friend, a man named Morris. The end of the blurb says, wife Carmel knows Barry has been cheating on her, but little does she know what is really going on. When their marriage goes into meltdown, Barrington has big choices to make. Next up, from my sweet friend Harry, I have Mrs. Death, Mrs. Death. This is another literary fiction one that has already had me in complete stitches. This one is about death, you know, like the abstract concept death, except in this novel Death is a woman and she is tired. She has seen many things over her not exactly lifetime time, and she is finally ready to tell her story. So she finds a young writer, a very troubled young writer, who has seen a lot of death in his life and is well acquainted with the concept, and she decides to tell him her story. Normally this would not be the kind of book that I rush into reading, but I read the introduction to this one, which is like a disclaimer at the start, and it's actually written by the young writer, although you don't realise that until you get to the end, and it is hilarious. Now, speaking of death, although that sounds a little bit ominous now that I say it out loud, I received 2 things from the amazing Sarah, who I will not ever shut up about because I love her to pieces. She sent me the first book in the Ankh-Morpork archives. This is, of course, an anthology of things all about Terry Pratchett's Discworld, wherein death very much features as an anthropomorphic being. These volumes are packed full of all sorts of stuff, but some of it, like this, is like a fake guide to Ankh-Morpork, places to go and people to see. Then we've got guides to joining some of the various guilds in Terry Pratchett's world and what you should do to try and survive your first week. There's bits about famous heroes from legends and folktales and slang and how to use it in Ankh-Morpork, and I love the Terry Pratchett ephemera. And speaking about art books, the other thing that Sarah got me, oh, it just made me so happy. She picked me up the Heartstopper colouring book, which of course come from the Heartstopper graphic novels, again by Alice Oseman. I'm probably going to do a mixture of scanning these into colour digitally and framing a couple of them just to act as like very simplistic prints. And honestly, I think this one made me tear up the most. Shut up, this universe just makes me all cute and fluffy, okay? Next up, from my absolutely beloved Victoria, who completely spoiled me on my birthday with things not book related, and who very bad person who will not be told. She picked up for me The Little Mermaid and Other Fairy Tales from Hans Christian Andersen. This is, of course, the MinaLima illustrated editions, which have lots of interactive components. I haven't even taken this one out of the cellophane yet, as you can see, so let's do that together. I own both the Jungle Book and Peter Pan in these editions already, so I know that they're stunning. Almost every page of these editions is illustrated in some way, but MinaLima are a team of 2 paper artists, and they specialise in things like this. These are literally all of my childhood dreams come true. This one is going straight on my self-care TBR list for when I feel especially sad and need to smile. Next up from Jenny, I have a blast of middle grade fantasy cuteness. Is this not just the sweetest cover that you have ever seen? I love middle grade covers when they have so much intricate detail on them. I'll put a bigger picture on the screen here so that you can see this one up close. This is A Pinch of Magic by Michelle Harrison, and it is the first in a 3-book series, I think. The blurb on the back says, 3 sisters trapped by an ancient curse, 3 magical objects with the power to change their fate. Will they be enough to break the curse, or will they lead the sisters even deeper into danger? This one came straight from my wish list, where it was promptly deposited when I heard a lot of my absolute favourite middle grade reviewers talk about this. It is much beloved, and I am very excited. Next up from Chris, I have 2 books. One of them I knew about and one of them a complete surprise. The first one is a poetry collection by Tom Denby, and it is And Then She Ate Him. This one is a kind of twisted fairy tale surrealist collection, and in the contents page it is all split up into things like witch, siren, itch, green, grow, hero, rogue / rouge, my fruitier than average day, abracadabra. Jane actually recently raved about this collection and told me that I needed it in my life, so I put it on my wish list, and Chris was lovely enough to pick it up for me. And it also has a macaw on the cover, so we're matchy today. And next up, Chris, who's one of my lovely patrons, watched my Patreon birthday live stream, in which I mentioned that I had never found a brownie recipe that I actually enjoyed. And so she sent me the Hummingbird Bakery cookbook, in which there are several brownie recipes that Chris says are always a hit in her house. I must admit, the one that first took my fancy was the raspberry cheesecake brownie, which I may very well decide to make for myself when I get the ingredients in my next shop. Because you know, lockdown life, have to plan every meal 3 weeks in advance. Why can't I just eat it now? Next up from Emma, I have got a YA fantasy that I don't know very much about once again. I've recently been really enjoying some YA fantasy after kind of taking a break for it for quite a few years. And because I've been enjoying it so much, I've been looking for recommendations from my friends who read almost exclusively in that genre and love it to pieces, and just think I have been sleeping on it, which may very well be the case. But on every one of those recommendation lists, I found Legendborn. Apparently, despite the fact that this only came out last year, nobody can get enough of this book. That said, I don't know very much about the plot, so let's find out about it together. After her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants to escape. A residential programme for bright high schoolers seems like the perfect opportunity until she witnesses a magical attack at her very first night on campus. Ooh, sounds kind of like Magic X-Men. I am there for that. Flying demon feeding on human energies, a secret society of so-called Legendborn that hunt the creatures down, a mysterious mage who calls himself a Merlin and who attempts and fails to wipe Bree's memory of everything she saw. The mage's failure unlocks Bree's own unique magic and a buried memory from the night her mother died. Now Bree will do whatever it takes to discover the truth, even infiltrate the Legendborn. But when the Legendborn reveal themselves as the descendants of King Arthur's knights, and foretell a magical war, Bree must decide how far she'll go for the truth. Should she use her magic to take the society down, or join the fight? Hello, Magic X-Men meets King Arthur. I am here for it. Next up is a little break from fantasy. Let's go for some non-fiction. This came from the lovely Natalie. Thank you so much. I'm so very excited for this book. This is Female Husbands by Jen Mannion. Hello. Is this lighting a UFO or the end of the world? If it's the end of the world, I wish to speak to a manager because I have not read any of these books yet. Thank you very much. I have wanted to know more about this subject for such a long time, and then it was like Jen Mannion saw into my brain and published this. The synopsis for this one says, Long before people identified as transgender or lesbian, there were female husbands and the women who loved them. Female husbands, people assigned female who transgender, lived as men and married women, and were true queer pioneers. This goes all the way from the colonial era right through World War I and World War II, and basically comes up to the present and looks at the way in which these women totally went against the norm, risked their lives to choose to be who they were, and I just cannot wait to have some of that energy in my life. Let's get back to some fantasy, shall we? I was missing it there for one book. From Rebecca, who just deserves a lovely squeeze for being a lovely human, I received Frostheart. I've definitely been sleeping a little bit on this one because it came out in 2019 and it was so massively popular, and I guess that's one of the reasons that I kind of avoided it for a little while. But can we just... it's so pretty. So this one I think is about a magical train called the Frostheart. I could be wrong, let's see. Far out in the coldest part of the monster-infested snow sea, Ash waits for his missing parents, with only his grumpy Yeti guardian for company. Already too adorable, I can't handle it. But when an accident reveals that Ash has amazing magical powers, he's whisked aboard the Frostheart on an explorer sleigh with a daring crew who need his help. Can they help Ash master his new powers and find his family? It's a sleigh! Oh. This is another one that has stunning illustrations throughout it. I just honestly think that Puffin have been bringing out some beautiful children's books recently. And then finally I've got another one for Jenny. Her books must have got separated in there, sorry girl. This stack has been knocked over several times by small kittens, so I'm glad if I've got any of them in any kind of order. We have got Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. This one is about Jack and Kate. They meet each other at a teenage party and they fall completely head over heels in love. Oh look, the light's coming back for love. They have 6 amazing months together and then tragically one day Kate dies. Her death completely rocks Jack's world and he thinks he'll never be able to get over it, but then one morning he wakes up and he discovers that he's jumped back in time. He's gone back somehow to the moment that they first met. He has a chance to save her, and really who wouldn't take that chance when presented with it, but in doing so he realises that he may have to hurt many, many other people, and he is left with a horrible decision to make. And now I have a tiny stack that came without gift notes. That doesn't mean that people didn't leave gift notes, that just means that the gift notes weren't in the package. I don't know how that could possibly have happened. Of course a mega corporation cares about my birthday notes. So if any of these books came from any of you guys, please drop me a comment below so that I can say thank you personally. The first one that I've got here is Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett. This one is about Simone. She thinks she has got her entire life sussed out. She is directing the High School Musical. She has made good friends. She is also making out with Miles, who just might be the hottest guy in school. But the problem is that taking things any further with Miles means that she is going to have to tell him the truth. And that is that she is HIV positive. It's not that Simone is ashamed of her diagnosis, it is just that the last time that she told anyone about it, there were devastating consequences. But then before she can make a decision, she finds an anonymous threatening note in her locker and she realises that time may be running out on her perfect school life. Speaking of thoughtful packages, the next one included Deadhead by CJ Scoose. This is the 3rd book in the Sweet Pea series. You guys know how absolutely obsessed I am with Sweet Pea. When I read it, I started a tiny epidemic on BookTube of getting everybody else to read it, and I regret nothing. It is possibly one of my favourite thrillers in the entire world. The second book for this series, In Bloom, did a couple of things that I wasn't actually all that hot on. I'm not sure whether Deadhead finishes a trilogy or is just the next book in the series. I haven't been looking at much social media about it because I don't want to know, but I think this might necessitate a reread of this entire series. Next up, I have a return to fantasy. This is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. This one has been described to me very recently as Mulan meets Project Runway, and frankly that did nothing to dissuade me from wanting to read this, so thank you very much to whoever sent it to me. Although can I just say, the UK cover for this one feels very middle grade compared to the US cover for this one, and just I don't know which one I prefer. This one is about Maya. She dreams of being the greatest tailor in the land, and she knows that she has the skills to become one. But obviously in this world, being a woman is pretty much no good, and the best thing that she can do is hope to marry well. But when a messenger from the palace sends for her very sick father, she seizes the opportunity, and here is the Mulan twist. She dresses as a man and goes to court. She's going to the court for a tailoring contest to compete for the emperor's favour, but if her ruse is discovered, she will be killed. Except then there's a twist. Then it says, yet nothing could have prepared her for the challenge ahead, to sew 3 magical gowns for the emperor's bride-to-be. One from the laughter of the sun, one from the tears of the moon, and one from the blood of the stars. And Maya, like us, has absolutely no freaking idea what that is meant to mean. Second from last, I have a book that absolutely terrified me when I saw the page count of it, but I don't actually think it's as bad as it looks. This is Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. Look at that cover, look at the flaps, look at the spine. This is stunning. I mean, this is also a brick, but having had a quick flip through, the words are quite big. I don't actually think it's as bad as 650 pages might sound. I have been so excited for this book to come out, and I was just hoping that there were going to be hardcover versions of it available when my book buying ban ended, so thank you to whoever sent this to me. Despite the cover, this is actually a sort of gothic dark academia horror. Allow me to enlighten you. It says, Brookhand School for Girls, infamous site of a series of tragic deaths over 100 years ago, soon to be the subject of a controversial horror movie about the rumoured Brookhunt's curse. In the early 1900s, Brookhunt students Flo and Clara fell madly in love. Yes, queer! Brought together by their obsession for a scandalous memoir. A few months later, they were found dead in the woods after a horrific wasp attack, the book lying next to their intertwined bodies. 3 more grisly deaths followed before the school was forced to close. Now the school's doors are open once more, but as the crew of glamorous young actresses assemble to start filming, past and present begin to blur, and soon it's impossible to tell quite where the curse ends and Hollywood begins. I am kind of low-key obsessed with books that do this, that look at like old creepy curses and then send like a documentary crew or a film crew or something, and they discover that actually old creepy curses are actually real. I invite nothing in. Nothing. And last up, a little bit later for my birthday, but still as an anonymous gift, I have a book that everybody is talking about right now, which means that I need to read it really quickly before the hype kills it for me. This is Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrian Tooley, and it is a YA fantasy sapphic romance. That is just one of my favourite strings of words to have ever said on this channel. As I understand it, this is about Tamsin. She is the most powerful witch of her generation, but she has done something very, very bad, and now she is not allowed to use magic again, like ever. Ever, ever, ever. The problem is that taking away Tamsin's magic also results in a complete inability for her to feel. Then she meets Ren. Ren is a source. She has a lot of magic within her that somebody with magical abilities can draw on. But in this world, being a source is incredibly dangerous, and Ren has never told anybody about her abilities. With a magical plague sweeping the land, Tamsin without any powers, and Ren trying to look after her dying father, they make a scary little bargain. If Tamsin can find the dark witch who created the plague, which is killing Ren's father, Ren will in exchange give Tamsin her love for her father and her magical source. Tamsin will be whole again, Ren will never ever be able to feel, but her father will be alive. The tagline of this book says, of course love bargains are a tricky thing, and these two have a long perilous journey ahead of them. That is, if they don't kill each other first. So that's it. That was my birthday book haul. I hope that watching this on my birthday 2.0 has given you a little bit of birthday joy. As we can't go and browse in bookstores right now, I kind of feel like book hauls from your favourite booktubers are the next best thing. It's a little bit like browsing shelves with a friend, and of course watching them make all of the expensive decisions that you can later borrow. That's how friendship works, right? If you were one of the people who sent birthday wishes or a gift for my birthday, thank you so very much. I'm just blown away by the generosity in front of me, and I can only hope that some of these videos give back a little bit for that. As always, if you have read any of the books in this video or you have recommendations based on any of them, please tell me about that below. And if you have enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a big thumbs up so we can thumbs up it into people's sidebars and they can do the thing that you have done and subscribe down below for more of my face. I love you all very much, and I will speak to you soon. Bye! Let's place a bet on how many of these I can hold for a thumbnail, and later I'll tell you how many of them I dropped on my toes.